What a difference a year makes. It's hard to believe that exactly 1 year ago, my husband and I sat at this breakfast in those exact seats, and we had just been diagnosed 2 weeks prior, our daughter with autism. Well, a lot can change in a year. After Sienna was born, we felt that our family was complete. Our older daughter, Savannah, was 15 months old at the time, and yes, we were pretty exhausted. Those first few months were a blur, but one thing really stood out, and that was Sienna loved to smile, and we soon nicknamed her Sienna Smiles. Around 4 months old, we started to see a change in Sienna. In public, she would scream inconsolably. It became increasingly stressful to take her anywhere, to the grocery store, park, restaurants, play dates. We even got kicked out of Kinder Music. The owner actually said that her behavior was so disruptive and gave me a refund. So as we prepared for her 18-month checkup, I knew that something was wrong. Sienna was missing milestones. She wasn't smiling anymore. She wasn't responding to her name. She wasn't pointing. She wasn't excited when we came in the room. She wasn't babbling, and she had not had her first word yet. During her 18-month checkup at the pediatrician, he went through the normal routine checks of her height and her weight, and he was about ready to send us on our way when I shared my concerns with him. And he actually looked surprised because on the outside, Sienna looked just fine. So he came back a few minutes later with a screening questionnaire. He handed it over to me and asked me to fill it out. And I looked down at the page, and one thing stood out to me, and it was the word autism. So as I filled that questionnaire out, my tears started to flow, and they didn't stop. Sienna was the very first patient in his practice to ever fail the SARC screening questionnaire. Within a week, we were sent to SARC for our free 4-hour evaluation. On the drive there, my husband and I were still in disbelief, and we were convinced it was only a speech delay and that everything would be fine, until it wasn't. Sienna was diagnosed with autism. The life that we envisioned for her fell apart. We were terrified for her future. How would she navigate the world? Would she ever get married? Would she have a career? Would she be happy? And would she ever be able to look me in the eye and tell me that she loves me? We allowed ourselves time to grieve, but the clock was ticking, so we needed to get really busy. Our first step was orientation at SARC, where we learned the next steps of navigating this new challenge. We signed up for the intensive parent training at SARC, where we spent 5 full days with one goal, and that was to get our daughter to look us in the eye, to make eye contact and maintain it. It was a new skill, and we had never placed demands on her before. We spent a lot of that week crying, all of us. And what we had to accept is that Sienna was going to have to work really, really hard for what came natural for most children. And that was heartbreaking. We enrolled in SARC's Jumpstart program. It was invaluable in guiding us as to what lay ahead and teaching us the importance of the role of her parents would be and how important that would be in her success. Those first few months were excruciating. She spent a lot of the time crying and tantruming. But over the course of a year, things started to change for the better. Sienna started making progress. She started babbling. She started pointing. She started looking at us. And Sienna started smiling again. The journey of autism takes a village, and her family and friends, her therapists, her teachers, our nannies, everyone at SARC has provided us with endless support. Many of you are here today, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Early on in the process, Janet at SARC, if you're here in the room somewhere, you asked me if she had a sibling, and I told you that she did. She had an older sister. And you told me that she would be her best teacher. And I want to tell you that you were right. And I will never be able to thank Savannah enough for that. Sorry. Okay, so on to the good stuff. Sienna just turned 2.5. And remember that Kinder Music class that we were kicked out of? Well, we recently went back. This time I was able to sit in the back as she sat in the circle with her typical peers, and she sang out loud to Wheels on the Bus, doing the same hand gestures and really enjoying herself. And the only person crying that day was me, and it was tears of joy. Sienna sings her ABCs. She can count to 20. She knows all of her shapes and all of her colors. And her favorite thing is to tell us when Savannah's in trouble and when she needs a timeout. We're now able to go to a restaurant and enjoy family outings. But best of all is Sienna looks me in the eyes and she tells me, "I love you, Mommy." Our journey is not over, but our days do look a lot brighter. So as I reflect on this short year, I am forever grateful to SARC for that screening questionnaire. I firmly believe that it's because of this program we were able to catch it so early and implement the critical early intervention that has led to our mission, which is everything is possible. An autism diagnosis is not helpless nor hopeless. A year really can make a difference. So, for all of the parents that may be sitting in our seats today, maybe you have just gotten diagnosed yourself, here's my message to you. There is hope, and we are proof of that. Thank you for allowing me to share my story with you this morning. Thank you.